Hello and welcome to the Generations at Work podcast. I'm Francesca DeMeglio, editor of HR Exchange Network, and I'm joined by Stephanie Kalindo, who handles marketing and is the community manager of HR Exchange Network. Today, we're talking about learning and development. And since this is the Generations at Work podcast and we're getting started on our second episode, we're going to dive right into the points about the different generations. So from a generational point of view, Stephanie is a Gen Xer. How do you view learning and development? What role and what expectations do you expect your employer to play in your L&D?
So I think from the Gen Z and millennial standpoint that we really want employers to invest in our learning experience. I think it shows that they care about us as individuals and that they want us to stay within the company and that they're prepared to invest in us to retain us and that we have a future within the company.
I think that's a great point. I think it's a vital part, not just for the employee who needs this as an individual, but also for the company itself. It's the only way you can stay on the cutting edge. It's the only way to get your retention numbers up because let's face it, if people don't think they can grow, they're eventually going to leave. You want to have a future wherever you are. You want to see yourself moving up and doing great, meaningful things. From a Gen X point of view, which is the position I take, I would say that the same things are important to us. I think L&D, maybe the curriculum might be a little different for us, what we're looking for. I think it's really important for all of us to stay on the cutting edge of the advanced technology that is revolutionizing the workplace right now. I'm thinking about artificial intelligence, the metaverse, all these other software programs. There are many people who have upped their game by learning coding and things like that. I also think, though, however, that many of the older generations are taking on management positions. This might even hold true for millennials, and it will eventually hold true for Gen Z, who will eventually be in control, no matter what any baby boomer tells you now. So we need leadership training, right? I mean, I do think you need to make sure you have those hard skills. It is really helpful for HR themselves to know how to read financial analysis reports and understand the budgets and understand regulations and compliance for obvious reasons. However, I do also think that those soft skills are really more important than ever because we know that after the pandemic, people have had wellness problems, that people are feeling overburdened, and making sure you have leadership training is a key aspect of this. We know that HR professionals are really thinking about this. Our latest HR report states that the number one priority in learning development is leadership training. So I imagine a lot of people in Gen X would be looking for that kind of help. However, I think that overall, I don't think you can go wrong with putting forth a strong leadership and development or learning and development program for any generation. Would you agree, Stephanie? Seems
I would
obvious.
agree, and I think that leadership plays a big role in also the reason why people would stay or want to leave a company. So investing in those leaders to have soft skills and to have a well-rounded just idea of the business would make people below them, such as those in my generation, want to stay with the brand.
It's so true. And, just in general, everyone, you will find that you have more success in life if you stay curious. And I know that's a cliche, and I've brought it up in newsletters and other places before, but it really is true. It's really true. You have to stay curious because especially right now, things are changing so fast. This technology that's coming upon us, it is going to give you whiplash. Just in the first few months of ChatGPT, you could see the big, huge difference it's made, the impact it's having. Just this morning, some of the other editors at our workplace were talking about the fact that LinkedIn was using a ChatGPT type of AI to help people create their posts now. I know that Google search, I bought into Google search, allowing you to have an AI leveraged search system. So you're seeing it everywhere, and you have to stay on top of those things. And the only way you can do that is with learning. I think one of the things that you and I have discussed in the past that's really interesting is the delivery system. That's really changed a lot in the last few years. Some because of AI, but some also just because of people's time considerations, their schedules. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of the interesting delivery methods? I'm thinking micro learning and things like that that you've seen and that you think will appeal to people looking for some extra learning opportunities.
I think one important aspect of it is that that any learning that you do has to have flexibility with it, just to accommodate different people. I mean, people in Gen X may be more likely to be caregivers on the home front. People in Gen Z may just be valuing flexibility due to entering a job market in this state. I mean, it's been a challenge for everyone. So I think across the board that you need different types of online courses and different options that you can have to accommodate those across generations in the workforce.
I agree. There's the micro learning. One of the other ways that we've really seen learning transform itself as well is through the different methods and different platforms that are being offered now. We have a great article on the site about learning experience platforms. That's been the hot trend in learning and development of late. And basically, those allow you to leverage AI to create these platforms where people have a curriculum offered to them, but they can add and enhance the curriculum. This reminds me of a community of practice on steroids. Communities of practice, for those who don't know, are when organically people who work together are trying to learn something and they help each other. And often it might include people writing little instructional guides for their teammates or sharing some information about how to use a certain software, for instance, on Teams or Slack. And this allows you to kind of put all of that stuff in one place, all those videos, all those little nuggets in one place. The micro learning, as we said, it allows you to have things quickly and do it fairly easily. So like 15-minute bites of learning something, maybe a YouTube video type of thing. And this is really important because the one complaint I hear all the time from people, including those in HR, is that there's no time. I have opportunities to learn from my employer, but I just don't have the time to do my tasks and do the learning within a workday. What do you have to say about that, Stephanie? Because I
Yeah,
know that we've talked about this.
I'd have to say that that's why it's so important to have flexible options for these personalized learning journeys. I mean, every single person's journey is different, and at each company it's different. And it is up to the employer to allow different options and opportunities to go for each person's style of learning, each person's schedule of learning. I mean, it's just so important that you can accommodate everyone in your workforce as a leader.
I couldn't agree more. It also is another demonstration of how much you care for people. It's a demonstration of empathy when you recognize people's schedules, their time considerations. It's respect. And people are going to respond to that. They're going to appreciate it and they might stay longer with your company. It
Yes.
also will allow them as alum, even if they leave you as alumni of your company, to give you good recommendations, to, have great brand social media posts and things like that. So other people want to come and work for you and have that experience. So these are all good reasons to buy into it, but there's one really great reason. And the really great reason is that you want to stay on the competitive, you want to have the competitive edge. You won't be able to do that if you get left behind and don't continuously learn. This is another thing. We kind of all, maybe those of us in the older generations, kind of lulled ourselves into believing, oh, we did college, we're done with school, this is over, the education part is done. Not true. First of all, you're going to learn every single day of your life. That's just a fact. There is always something new to learn, and there is always going to be someone smarter, better, stronger than you are. That's just the way life is, and you have to accept it now. And that wisdom comes with age. And then the other thing about it is that things are rapidly changing right now. We are on this collision course with technology, really, where the old is just going to become antiquated so quickly, we're not even going to know what hit us. And judging from our exchange talks about AI, I don't believe everyone who's listening to us realizes how fast things are changing. 55% of the people who joined us had not heard of AI or had not experimented with it. And this is dicey. You need to be experimenting with it. There was even a small group who refused to use it at all. And I think that's a mistake. I think you'll live to regret that. I think it's going to end up being like the telephone, TV, um,
dot-com bubble.
internet. Yes, the .com. You're just not going to have a choice, right? So talk to me a little bit, Stephanie, about your point of view as someone just starting your career, essentially. How vital is it? And what are your hopes and dreams and plans for L&D?
Yeah, so I think it's super vital that you stay on top of the technology. As someone in Gen Z slash like on the millennial cusp, I've grown up with this technology. I remember getting my first iPhone when I was very young. I mean, it's so important to stay on top of it, and it comes to the employer to allow for these upskilling opportunities, these reskilling opportunities with AI. I mean, I think my hopes are that, jobs would not be affected, but that would be ignoring reality. I think the workforce is going to be extremely affected by AI, and that anyone who does not get on top of this technology or at least learn how to use it, not saying you'll be replaced, but you have a greater advantage if you know how to use the technology and can prove that to a future employer who may be looking to use AI instead of humans. We don't know yet.
It's so true, and I just don't think anybody can afford to ignore what's happening right now. I don't think you can even afford to ignore the metaverse and other types of software of this kind, simply because, first of all, like I said at the beginning, Gen Z is eventually going to be in charge, and this is what they're already used to in their lives.
Mm.
And then, second of all, you have to bring your customers with you, but you also have to bring your employees with you. And people aren't going to stay with you if you're staying in the past and everyone else is moving forward. So this is really important to HR. They have to stay on the cutting edge. And to do that, you have to invest in learning and development. Now, I realize that people are dealing with budget cuts or maybe smaller budgets than they had previously. And that's okay. You don't have to give up the learning entirely. Like I said, there are some things like communities of practice, these micro learning opportunities. There's lots of content and information available for free on the internet that you can turn to help your employees and to create a sort of curriculum. And then again, of course, the number one way I think people learn at work is from their fellow colleagues and managers. So how do you do that? You ask questions, talk to each other, build relationships, all the same wonderful things that we do here at HR Exchange Network. We practice what we preach, and that you can do and that we've told you to do as HR professionals within your own departments, but also extending into the workforce that you're managing, the talent that you're managing. I think those are all really important ways to keep people involved, engaged, and also learning what they need to learn. The next part of this that I'm going to talk about might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about learning and development, but I actually think there's a huge link to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So, first of all, I already mentioned that a lot of people in my generation might be in need of leadership development. And this is something that you all expressed in the State of HR report from the end of 2022 as well. And I think that the key here is number one, you have to have an openness, a curiosity, and a willing to learn to work with people who are of different backgrounds from yours. And that doesn't just mean, people of different races and cultures, but also people who might have come from different industries, who might have come from different job roles. things are going to change right now, and people are going to be making some big transitions and big leaps into different roles. You have to be prepared for that. And besides all of that, the big thing that comes to mind when you're talking about learning and development is being able to provide that sense of inclusion and belonging to your team. And this is really something we talk about, but it's not a concrete subject. And so you need to kind of have some kind of guidelines about how to accomplish that. And it requires you to learn again. There's no easy way around it. Stephanie, talk to me about why inclusion and belonging are key to retention.
I think they're key to retention because if you have a space where you feel safe and you feel heard, you feel valued, you want to stay in it. I mean, by offering opportunities to all of your employees, whether it be every learning journey is personalized, but by offering just the simple offer of here's a credit to take this course online, or do it at your own time and your own speed, or here's some guidelines on what you can, here are some prompts you can practice with ChatGPT, for example. Just providing those opportunities and giving everyone a safe space to learn and a safe space to grow will make people want to stay with your company.
It's true, and many of us don't know. We know how to get a more diverse team. We talk about this all the time in HR. We know how to lift the numbers, to read the numbers as they're coming in and see, oh, we're lacking women, we're lacking this group or that group, and to hire accordingly, to work with those organizations that link you to the best talent in those underrepresented groups. What we don't know is once they get there, how do we keep them there? How do we make sure people are happy? I've said this before. I think HR is in the business of happiness. It's kind of a silly way to look at it, maybe, but it's the truth. If people don't have satisfaction with their job, they're not going to stay with you, and you're not going to have success. Talent is the core of every business. There's no question about it. You need the talent to come up with the innovative ideas on the product side, on the services side. And yes, maybe the robots will be able to be creative eventually. I'm not doubting that, but we're not there yet. So you still need the talent for that part. And so I think that you need to be able to teach people about what to do to instill that sense of security, that sense of psychological safety in the workplace, how to make people feel like they belong. Some of it is common sense. We've said this before. Some of it is just relationship building, but there are guidelines. There are things you can do. And not all of us are as intuitive about those things. We could use a little bit of education, a little bit of help. And frankly, all of us could improve in relationship building. There's no question we can improve in every area. That's the beauty of life. So I do think you can tell them now about the diversity, equity, and inclusion aspect of our upcoming event. What do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. We have a session at our upcoming event that's taking place in about a week, on September 19th. It'll be about manager training through a DEI lens and how this can help you achieve success in your organization by allowing your managers to be able to be great leaders and foster that workplace where people feel safe and heard and where people want to stay.
I agree. I think it'll be a great session. The rest of the event also offers some great sessions. I'll be participating in one of them about artificial intelligence and learning. I'm really looking forward to that. This is about how AI can provide you with personalized learning, all the opportunities that it's going to afford people when it comes to L&D. And we're going to meet you where you are. So don't worry if you don't know a lot about AI, or if you're even inexperienced when it comes to creating a learning program. We have your back. That's why we're doing this. And we're looking forward to talking about that. Did you have any final thoughts you wanted to share, Stephanie?
I just wanted to share that if you're planning on attending the event, to bring your questions, bring your stories. We'd love to hear from you in the live chat, and it's really going to be a great one for the books.
Yes, rock on. We want you to bring your stories. I am always participating in the live chat. It's my favorite part of all of our
Yeah.
events. Yes, Stephanie too. And we are always answering your questions, and we love to hear your stories. We want to incorporate them into each session. So please join us then. What are the dates again, Stephanie?
Sure, September 19th at 11 a.m. Eastern is when it begins, and it will also wrap up on September 20th at noon. So in those time frames, we'll have 2 days of the event.
That'll be great. I can't wait for it. I hope you'll all join us. And in the meantime, please stay tuned to hrexchangenetwork.com, where you will find updates on this event and others. You will also learn about learning on the job, and you can also keep up with the latest HR news and trends, which we post about just about every day. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks.